The following review contains spoilers, plot twists, character deaths, surprise cameos, and that one scene you swore you wouldn't cry about, but actually did. If you haven't seen this movie, show, or limited series we're talking about, go watch it. Don't be mad at me, be mad at yourself. We don't do spoiler free over here, we do full scene analysis with a hint of reckless emotional damage. Proceed with caution, or don't. We're rolling anyway. Riri Williams did her part in her show Ironheart, but unfortunately, she didn't have a villain to match her energy. Let's talk about it. So I'll talk about this season, I'll break this out by episode, and starting with episode 1, there wasn't really much to report back on. It was a decent, regular, normal episode. It wasn't anything that really got its hooks in me. It was really just a lot of backstory, story building, and just creating the atmosphere for what this show is supposed to be. So after the first episode, I was like, it's cool. Like, it wasn't really much to report. So after watching episode 2 of Ironheart, I really didn't like the direction of the story, quite honestly. I didn't like the fact that you have this young, brilliant black girl. She's now turned criminal, and now what? I didn't like it. I also didn't like, and I have a background in technology, so this is very nuanced, and this is just my thing. But I hate in movies and shows when you have the IT hacker guy just do like this on the keyboard, and then we're in. It's like it's always so fake to me because that's not how it is. So that was just one thing that I normally, they did that in this show, and I absolutely hated it. But overall, in this second episode, we're seeing Riri form her relationship with her new AI, Natalie. And I really like the fact that Natalie, it was different seeing Natalie have a physical form because that's something we're not used to in the MCU. And I think in this episode, I really questioned how that would translate into the MCU because we've never seen that before, especially, with Jarvis. So in episode 3 of Ironheart, I think here's where things start to really get interesting. We get introduced to Joe, and that was a cool little twist about his backstory. And now they're really starting to set up Riri versus the Hood. Now, at this point in the story, after watching episode 3, I'm not really sold on the Hood. I felt like the Hood was very uninteresting. And for what I could see as far as episode 3, I just wasn't sold on him being able to do anything with Riri. Like, he just wasn't enough for me. And so in episode 3, I left this first block of episodes feeling like this was a solid 70% or a 7 out of 10. It was okay. It passed, but it wasn't anything that was blowing me off, this is amazing. I need to run and tell everyone to watch it, right? But, they're setting up this Hood versus Ironheart, so I was cautiously optimistic. And I said to myself after episode 3, I need to watch to see more because right now I'm not really feeling it, but it may pan out, so let's see. And now on to episode 4. So in episode 4, I really liked Riri in this episode. And the reason why I really liked it is because this episode really grounded her and made her feel realistic. I think oftentimes Riri, she's portrayed, and she is in the comics and in the show, brilliant. She's literally probably the smartest person you would know, but that just doesn't seem realistic. And I think in this episode, she felt closer to us normal people because she went through that traumatic experience on the, not the ship, but wherever they were out in the ocean. And now, she's having panic attacks, she's having paranoia, she doesn't know what to do. I feel like that's exactly how that would go for a normal person. And so just seeing her, how brilliant she is, and just how it seems like she has just this superpower of intelligence, now it humanized her to relate to us. And I just really like the way they portrayed that in this episode. So in episode 5 of Ironheart, this point on, we're in the end game now. So all types of stuff is happening. she has this fight with Joe, and the fight was really cool. I liked the fight, and I really liked the contrast, the parallels between this fight, Riri's fight with Joe, and Iron Man 2. And so I liked the fact that he had all this technology. Now he's using electricity to shock Riri, because normally I think that would make sense. Electricity would probably be her weakness. And so now she's having this fight. She loses it. And I was like, okay, cool. I like the fact that she got knocked down, because, I mean, this isn't solo leveling. Like, she's not just going to keep winning. But anyway, there were a couple things after that fight that I found interesting. Number one is, after that fight, so they're outside the diner, and all of this is happening, and there was no one outside. There was no videos taken. There was no police. There was no sirens, no ambulance, no nothing. So the crooks showed up to the diner, kicked everybody out, and then that was just the end of it. Nobody called the police and said, yo, this is some craziness happening. Like, I don't know. That was unrealistic. But cool, whatever. It's a show. Then Riri goes back to her house, and she's with her mom, and her mom was speaking facts. It was hilarious. She's like, yo, you ain't got no man. You don't have no suit, and you got kicked out of MIT off because of this suit. Like, it was hilarious. It was so funny, because I was like a typical black mom, and I could relate to that. But anyway, also in this episode, I like the fact that this trauma has been following her throughout the entire season. And at this moment, I'd liked for that trauma to really push her to defeat the Hood. And we'll see if it does or not. But I really like the fact that she had been struggling with that her entire life, because a lot of times in the black community, these types of things, the gun violence and stuff like that, happens all the time, and one of our loved ones is taken away from us, and now we're left to cope with it for the rest of life. And I'm not going to get further into it, because there's also this therapy thing this stigma that we have. So we won't get into all that. But I really like the fact that I could relate to this show. I mean, this show was a unapologetically black show. And I think that Ryan Coogler and Disney did a phenomenal job setting this up and making this as realistic as possible. Now, last thing on episode 5. Up until this point, I'm still thinking to myself, how in the heck is the Hood going to defeat Riri? Because at this point, all I think I've seen him do is disappear and shoot a gun that can shoot bullets that can move around fast. That's not enough for Riri. Or am I tripping? I feel like am I putting too much sauce on Riri? Because at this point, I'm still thinking he can't do nothing with her. Like, she has the whole like Ironheart suit that can fly and do all type of stuff. He can't do any of that. So like, what is he actually gonna do to defeat her? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So cool. But it's episode 5. We're not there yet. Let's see what happens in episode 6. Let's do it. So we're at episode 6. She's built this brand new suit. It has magic in it. You know, she lost Natalie because of the magic. So, you know, I'm thinking, okay, this magic is going to do something different for this. So now we're at the fight. So now the build up, I mean, this is the last episode. This is what this entire season is built up to. Let's go fight the Hood. Riri goes to fight the Hood. The fight lasted all of 3 minutes. And again, everything that I had been saying for the previous 5 episodes, it was nothing he could do with her. I mean, you know, he started to sort of morph into this vampire demon type situation, but I mean, it still just wasn't enough. And the fight was uninteresting to me. It was over entirely too fast. And I think everything that I said up until that point was correct. I did not like this villain for Ironheart. I didn't like it at all. I feel like they needed something more, and he just wasn't it. Now, one thing they did do to really save this season for me is now, after this fight is over. Oh, by the way, the last thing. Riri didn't even use any magic power. She used it one time to like dispel his cloaking mechanism, and that was it. It was really pointless to me, we're going through this whole magic thing just to do one little trick and now I can see him. Like, that was lame. But anyway, cool. I'm off the Hood at this point. I'm done with him. I don't want to see him ever again. Now we're getting to something that is really interesting and probably the best part about this season to me. Now, the most interesting part about this season is now we're introduced to Mephisto. Now, and the reason why this is interesting to me is because I think that it just adds a different element to Riri that we didn't really see before. How far she's willing to take this to see her family, this trauma that's been following her for the past 5 episodes, right? So I like the fact that now she's presented with an opportunity from Mephisto. You know, I can give you your family back in exchange for your soul. He didn't explicitly say that, but I think that's what's implied, right? But cool. And I think this conversation that we're having and Mephisto being there was really, really interesting. And I think that was probably one of my best parts about the entire show is that conversation, that Mephisto piece. And I feel like Mephisto should have been introduced earlier in the season, and it would have made the season a little bit more interesting. Now, I'm going to create a totally separate video about Mephisto and what this means for the MCU. And Mephisto's been here all along, I'm assuming. So how has he had his hand in things up until this point? So we'll talk all about that later on. But again, the Mephisto piece was probably the most important or probably the most interesting piece to me this entire season. So my overall thoughts about Ironheart is I give it a solid 7 out of 10. And the reason I'm doing that is because the villain, the hood of this show, did not have enough depth, motivation, or power to truly challenge Ironheart the way that I felt like she needed to be challenged. And I felt like the traumas in Natalie and those things were a little bit more interesting, and that challenged Riri more than the hood ever did out of these 6 episodes. So ultimately, I feel like this show was good, but it wasn't really great. What do you think about Ironheart Season 1? Let me know down in the comments, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.